What is up, gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode. So, another day, another topic, and on today's topic, I want to express and to explore the importance of resuscitating your inner child. What is the inner child, and why is this something that you want to consistently be seeping into, especially as men? Well, I want to start off with a little bit of a story that is going to express to you just how important this inner child is, and how that inner child is going to get you back to the core essence of who you once knew that you should be. A couple of years ago, I had just started to make momentum in my business, and I had made the decision to make one of the first big frivolous purchases of my life, something that is non-essential, something that is just because I wanted it. It was something that is a milestone, which was a bright blue Porsche GT4. And one day, I had the car parked outside and I was cutting my hair, and I came out to see this kid, right? He must have been 3, 4, 5 years old. Very, very small kid. And the look on his face, honestly, it was a look that I had not seen in a long time. This kid was completely enamored by what he was looking at. And I remember him scurrying around the car, just looking at the car in all angles. He's looking at the rims, he's looking at the vents, the carbon fiber. He's touching the car, he's asking his mom about it. And then he sees me step up. And then there's this immediate shyness to the kid, because it's almost like you caught the kid in his element. Right? This kid had just been snapped out of a trance, and I realized this kid is really into what he's looking at, but he's 3, 4, or 5 years old. This is a natural inclination from this child towards what he's seeing in front of him. This made me step back, and I'm like, okay, but we've been taught that those who care about these things are vain, and they're materialistic, and they're greedy, and they're bad, and they're doing it for attention. And I realized this kid doesn't know any of these concepts. He has no idea what it means to be vain or to do something for attention. This kid just loves what he's looking at. This kid has this natural affliction or this natural affinity to the thing in front of him. And I got in the car and I turned it on for him and I revved the engine, and again his eyes lit up. He had just seen something that just clicked in him. And I knew for a fact that that was going to resonate with him for the rest of his life. But I had a moment of sadness, because I realized all children start out that way. And what happens is, over time, that desire, that striving for the more beautiful things in life, for the parts of life that only a few percentage of the population is able to enjoy and to experience, is going to be killed out of him. It's going to be completely drained, drop by drop, until he has nothing left, and until he believes that, number one, it's not attainable. 2, even if it was attainable, he shouldn't strive for this thing. 3, he's going to believe, what's the use? Right? At the end of the day, this desire is being sucked out of the children. And how is that? And this took me back to my initial point in terms of what it means to grow and to cultivate your inner child. And this is what I'm going to be discussing on today's episode. I'm going to look at what are the key points that I've seen and how your inner child can actually help to push you in your life, in your success, and in your holistic peace. So in order to understand the importance of cultivating your inner child, one must first understand what are the characteristics of a child that we should actually aspire to. And the first thing that I genuinely saw was a child is careless and they are genuinely happy. They're happy because they're content. So let's track back a little bit. They're careless. This does not mean that I'm advocating for a lack of responsibility or for someone to be childish. What I'm advocating for is a sense of oneness within yourself. When a child is careless, they're going to be authentic in themselves. When they speak, they're going to be authentic. They're going to say what they believe, not because this is intended to achieve or to provoke a certain reaction from someone else. They're also not in their heads thinking, what is this other person thinking about myself, right? They have no idea of social norms. They also have no collection of, I need to be accepted, so I'm going to tailor my speech and I'm going to modify who I am in order to achieve the acceptance of others. They're not in their heads. So because of that, they are genuinely content. It's this lack of being within one's head and being caught up in one's shortcomings or perceived shortcomings that allows this childish carelessness to be a truly strong position to come from. It's a vulnerability that allows you to bring 100% of yourself to any engagement. So that carelessness is something we should all aim to cultivate. Would you not love to show up at a social gathering and to not give a single fuck about what anyone there thought of you? And I'll tell you why you shouldn't care. It's not about not caring about your perception. That comes second. But when you're unable to be authentically who you are, it shows up in your speech. It shows up in your mannerisms. It shows up in the way you move, the way you speak, the way you look. The lack of care, right? That carelessness allows you to move with a certain fluidity that you can't achieve when you're forcing things, when you're calculating things, when you're in your head trying to manage every single interaction because you're worried about what the other person has to think or has to say about you. So this is where the tremendous value of being careless like a child actually allows you to achieve more in life, both socially and professionally. The second point that I want to make is that a child is not the victim of social conditioning and social platforms and social media in general, right? A child has no access to most of these things. And what's sad is that children are getting exposed to these things earlier and earlier. So they're becoming programmed from a younger age. But when I look back at my upbringing, I had no access to many of these things. All I had was myself and the immediate people around me, and that was it. So what is this social conditioning and what does it do to us? Well, number one, as men specifically, it pacifies us. Why does it pacify us? I believe that a man is created by the sum of his desires. We've always been inclined to desire things. We desire success. We desire growth. We desire relationships. We desire everything that is meant for us to desire. And it is only through that desire that we'll achieve the energy and the wherewithal to be able to push through the significant challenges that life is going to put in front of you and is going to say, do you really want this? Is this something that you think you want, or do you actually want it? So the social conditioning that we've been put through, number one, makes us believe that to desire things is horrible, it's wrong, that we should just be content and we should be humble and we should be timid and we should be okay with what we've been given in life. Guys, please do not buy into that. This humbleness or this false sense of humbleness is literally there to pacify you. Two is you're pacified because you don't know where to actually deploy your attention. Every fundamentally strong thing and impactful thing that I've done in my life to further my life, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's building a business, whether it's actually cultivating myself spiritually, whether it's learning new things, has been deployed and has been achieved because I was able to properly deploy my attention and my energy. But the same attention and energy in others has been deployed into places, into avenues that completely draw and bring no return on investment. What are these places? Well, number one, it's going to be your social media. Think of the amount of attention, the time that you spend watching other people's lives, mindlessly consuming content through TikTok, through Instagram, through YouTube, believing that you're moving forward in life, right? Just because you feel good about it in the moment, in the time. This attention is going to be the birthing stone of all of the great monuments of your life. But if you continuously deploy it into avenues that bear no fruit and just give you an immediate kick of dopamine, you're going to find yourself 5, 10, 20 years down the line in a more and more horrible position. Why is this? Because every day, the world is progressing in a way that is going to make it more difficult for us to mount these challenges. There's going to be more things that will demand our attention. The apps that we use are going to become better and better at consistently hooking us and keeping us ingrained onto the platforms. So it's going to be difficult and much more difficult to actually use that attention and to deploy it into the areas that we need. So what do you need to do? Number one, if you have an issue with deploying your attention, you need to cancel everything in your life that actually takes away your attention. You need to cancel out of your life all the things that neuter you. So remove social media, remove any apps that make it difficult for you to actually sit down and get some proper fucking work done. It's only through your work that you progress your life. It's only through your efforts in a concentrated way, in a calculated and effective way, that you actually make progression in your life. And it's through this progression, it's through consistently overcoming challenges in your life that you are going to get and to gain that sense of confidence. Because when you look yourself in the mirror, what you're going to see is someone who, when they set out to do something, sticks to the word. When you make a promise to yourself, you don't let the distractions of life move you off course. The third point, and one of probably the most important points in this list, is that children are always present, right? They are neither stuck in the past, nor are they stuck in the future. If you think of a child, they have no conception of what the future is because they haven't lived enough days to know what the future is right? They don't know what it's going to be like in a year. They don't know what's going to be like next week, right? When I was a kid, I remember my mom would completely pacify me by telling me, oh, this is the thing you want? Yeah, we're going to get it in an hour. She would completely use the concept of time, right? That is an hour in advance. For me, an hour is like, oh, that's so long. And it's like, I would completely get lost. She would throw me off track just by using an hour in advance because I had no conception of time. So this lack of conception of time allows kids to be extremely present, right? They are bringing 100% of themselves to every engagement. If you look at the modern man is either stuck in the past or he's stuck in the future. Either he's stressing about something that happened or he's stressing about something that might happen. He cannot look you in the eyes and bring 110% of him to the engagement because there's that lack of presence. When we cultivate our inner child, what we do is we learn to become present. We learn to put the past in the past and the future in the future. The future is going to be the future is going to be. What you can do right now is in the future or in the present, you can move the chips where you need to move them so that you can get and achieve the likelihood of the desired results for the future. I'm not saying to not look to the future, but when you get stuck in what might happen in the future, your attention is being removed from the present. And when your attention is removed from the present, you lack the ability to deploy the steps and the actions necessary to actually achieve the things that you want in the future. And when you get stuck in the past, well, number one, you can't change the past. You're not a time bender. You're not a time shifter. You have zero ability to change what has happened. So why even bother, right? Yes, we can learn from the past. We can take those lessons and extract wisdom. We can look at the things that have happened to us as a rite of passage. But more than that, we should not spend a single second longer in the past than we need to. So focus on the present and bring 100% of yourself to every engagement. When you speak to someone, look them in the eye, give them your attention. Speak to them with a sense of clarity. Speak to them with a sense of, I am here and this is who I am. This is what a child would do. So I want to wrap up this episode by exploring what I believe are the key takeaways in terms of why you should continuously aim to cultivate this inner child and how this is actually going to be something that's going to boost you in all areas of your life. And I want to start off with number one, which is you should strive to have a childish sense of ambition and confidence. If you look at a child, they have this weird sense of arrogance about them, right? When they say something, even if it's completely wrong, they 110% believe that it is correct. They believe it's correct because they have no data in their mind that they can recollect that tells them they've been wrong in the past. Think of the person that is unsure of themselves, right? When they say something, they sort of stutter, right? They say it in a low voice and they're unsure and they're doing this and it's very weird and they're using and but because what's happening is their mind, before they can actually get that information out there, is telling them, stop. You've been wrong in the past. You're probably wrong now. Don't believe in yourself. So your mind becomes the obstacle in front of you. It becomes the obstacle in front of the person that you need to be. So when you strive to have that childish confidence, what you do is you get out of your mind. And when you strive to have that childish ambition, think of the question that most children are asked when they're young. They're asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? And for me, that was a firefighter. Why did I want to be a firefighter? I don't know. It just looked cool. And that simplicity of, I just want to be this because I want to be this, is what we should all strive for in life. Think of the last time you wanted something. The second you want that thing, you immediately start to justify in your head why you should not even bother. You say, I want this thing, but no, I shouldn't try because it's going to be difficult, or because there's too few of them, or because I'm not at that level, or so many things that appear as obstacles in front of you for why you can't have those things, as opposed to looking at the opportunities in front of you. You want to start that business, but you're looking at, I don't have the money, or I don't have the time, or it's going to be difficult, or the market is saturated, or you want to go and approach that person and you're thinking, no, but this is not the right time, or this is not the right place, or they won't like me, right? So many things that just get in your mind that tell you why you shouldn't do 1, 2, 3. But just get out of your mind. Have that confidence and that ambition that every child has. Number 2 is that you need to fundamentally understand that material possessions are not evil. They are a small and beautiful part of life. When you ask a child, what do you want to be when you grow up? Or what do you want to have when you grow up? They'll tell you big car or a sports car that goes really fast and it goes vroom vroom, and a beautiful house with a pool, right? They'll describe to you the ideal life that when most of us think of a luxurious life that we would like to have, but we might have considered ourselves Or we might have considered that to be evil and that to be vain. And again, as I mentioned in the beginning, this is social programming that is there to neuter you and to kill you. So strive for beautiful things. So if you like a watch, go and get that watch. Work towards dressing the way that you want to dress. Buy the things that you want to buy. Sure, don't put yourself in debt. You're an idiot if you do that. But if you have what it takes to back it up, then don't be cheap. Don't go half-seas on the date. Don't not buy that car because you're trying to save the money and you never know and you're not going to take this with you when you go to the grave, right? All these things that people tell us that is wrong and it's evil. Buy the damn car. The final takeaway is that when you cultivate your inner child, you cultivate peace. Peace is the equilibrium between the past and the future. It's that you're neither there in the past nor are you there in the future. And when you're in equilibrium, your energy is substantially different, right? Think of the person that's always in the past or in the future. They just have this weird anxious energy about them. They're shifty. They're very, their energy is very acute, or they might be extremely lethargic. But when you're in equilibrium, the way you speak comes down. You speak with slower tonality. You lower your voice. You take a moment to say, what I have to say matters, and you will listen to me, right? All of these things matter. And this comes from equilibrium. It's from understanding that you are not your past and you are going to make your future, right? Your future doesn't already exist. It's not something that has been predefined. It's something that you are changing in real time. So all of your focus and attention should be placed in the present. Guys, this is an important episode for me and hopefully you have enjoyed it. I want to know what topics you want to see me cover in the future, right? Honestly, this has been one of the most satisfying experiences of my life, and I don't intend to stop anytime soon. But if you do enjoy this type of content, please consider smashing a massive thumbs up and let me know what other episodes you want to see in the future. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. Until next time, see you later.